who you wanna be. We can always start to believe. Listen to your heart, tell me that you understand. 'Cause you are the one for me. You just believe, 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 believe. Listen to your heart, 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 heart. Listen to your heart, 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 heart. Listen to your heart, tell me who you wanna be. We can always start to believe. Listen to your heart, tell me that you understand. 'Cause you are the one for me. You just believe, you just believe, you just believe, you just believe. Listen to your heart, tell me who you wanna be. We can always start to believe. Listen to your heart, tell me that you understand. 'Cause you are the one for me. You just believe, 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 believe. Listen to your heart, 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 heart. Listen to your heart, 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 heart. Listen to your heart, tell me who you wanna be. We can always start to believe. Listen to your heart, tell me that you understand. 'Cause you are the one for me. You just believe, you just believe, you just believe, you just believe. Listen to your heart, tell me who you wanna be. We can always start to believe. Listen to your heart, tell me that you understand. 'Cause you are the one for me. You just believe, 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 believe. Listen to your heart, 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 heart. Listen to your heart, 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 heart. Listen to your heart, tell me who you wanna be. We can always start to believe. Listen to your heart, tell me that you understand. 'Cause you are the one for me. You just believe.
Yes, people, welcome back to another late night chat, your favorite live podcast in the Manchester City space. Of course, the late night chat, my favorite podcast anyway. It's my favorite show I do every week. We do it a couple times a week here. If you're new, you're coming from LB's channel, welcome. I hope you stick around. I have a favor to ask people, yeah? We are currently 7 subscribers away from 9K. 7 subscribers from 9K. If you're new, subscribe. Double check you're subscribed. I'd love to hit 9K tonight. Is tonight the night we hit 9K? Make sure, man, share it around and hit that like button, man. 120 people here, 30 odd likes. Let's get the likes up nice and quick, man. Hit that like button, subscribe if you're new, and there's a link in the chat if anybody would like to be a channel member. Join our prestigious club for prestigious people. The channel members around here are very, very prestigious people. So if you're prestigious, become a channel member. But double check that you're subscribed because I'd love to hit 9K tonight. Joey boy, it's been a quiet few days news-wise. We have a bit of Alvarez news, a decent bit of Foden news. I like the Foden news. Big up Jordy Toon, man. I saw you in LB's chat there. He says, Hugh, if you want to know anything about Bruno, just ask. I'll give you honest answer. I will bear that in mind, Jordy Toon. Big up to you, my friend. Yeah, Foden news. We got a bit of Bruno news. We got Alvarez news. The court case started today, Joe. The court case, my favorite topic, your least favorite topic. It started today. We could be experiencing a change in the landscape of Premier League football forever over the course of the next 2 weeks.
Yeah, I mean, you put it pretty bluntly. It's like one of the biggest things that's ever happened in the Premier League. Directly, you're having a club, one of the most successful clubs of the recent era, directly challenging the entire league, the entire organisation over its rules, and things could get messy. This could not be pretty. I'm kind of happy with this one, that we have like a time frame and that we know it started now and it's not going to take forever, because the thing that I hate about 115, if it is, it's just dragged on for so long and nobody has a clue what's going on. With this one, we know what's happening. It's underway. The court case is underway. And we're just kind of waiting to see, what happens, whether there's any leaks or, what news comes out first. Because I guarantee you, there will be stuff that comes out before the final verdict. There will be stuff to talk about because it's quite an open case, really. We know it's the dates. So, I mean, I hate talking about it because I hate talking legalities because I'm just so uneducated in it. But I guess you kind of have to, because it has potential big ramifications or big potential outcomes in terms of maybe changing the rules.
Totally. But as we spoke about, and I want to get your opinion, we spoke about this on LB's show there a minute ago. Big up LB's in the chat there. It says, I chat. Big up to LB. Keep hitting the like button, people, man. We're over 50 likes and we're 2 subs away from 9K. 2 goddamn subs. So double check you're subscribed and let's get the 9K. LB was saying, do you think City have an alternative motive with this case? Because I don't think City can really lose in this case. Do you know what I'm saying? Like my point was, if the associated party transaction rule is to be removed, or stay in place, it doesn't affect City. It doesn't change anything. We're still a self-sustaining club. We're still going to be wealthy as fuck anyway, and we can still spend, more than the majority anyway. So what have City got to gain from this? I assume you saw today or yesterday that the Premier League officials, Richard Masters, etc., have to hand over their messages and their emails regarding Manchester City. Have you seen this?
I have seen that, yeah, from 2009.
And what do you make of that?
I mean, there could be some scary shit on there. Like, who knows what's on there? From 2009. I refuse to believe that everything on there is squeaky clean for the last 15 years. I refuse to believe that everything is completely spotless and there's nothing going on. I refuse to believe it. It's 15 years. So I'm very interested to see what happens there. I mean, I don't know whether you're trying to allude to it leaking over to the other case. If they have to hand over official communications about us, do you think that maybe gives us some information for 115? Or I don't know what to think about that. I mean, I still, like I said, I refuse to believe it's squeaky clean. There will be something on there, but I think you're right. I don't actually think there's a losing outcome of this case, because again, we're in a stage now where these rules don't actually affect us too much because we are self-sustaining and we can spend money. These are rules that we're challenging based on the fact that it could... Obviously, we would still reap the benefits of not having these rules. So it's we don't really lose. It's just kind of, we want the benefit of not having to jump through hoops for sponsors and being actually able to spend money.
I don't even think that it's limited to official communications, like say official Premier League emails, within the Premier League's I don't know, organizations or staff or people engaged or working on these cases. I think it's as loose as just general communication regarding the hierarchy of the Premier League, like your Richard Masters and his right-hand man or his left-hand man, whoever, and his general dialogue he has with his counterparts regarding Manchester City. And because it goes back to 2009, you're going to see he's definitely had conversation/dialogue with people regarding our CAS case with UEFA. He was definitely speaking about that. Wouldn't it be mental if something came out from Richard Masters like, oh, I hope City gets smashed by UEFA here, or along those lines, or like just before the charge Manchester City, let's go and charge Manchester City and take these guys down because they're threatening our power, they're threatening our stronghold over the Premier League. And then, you know, when we sued the Premier League as of late, is there any dodgy communication, any ill intention from Richard Masters and co towards Manchester City? We're going to learn a lot about the incentive and about the incentive and the objectives of the Premier League when they challenge Manchester City, because people forget very, very often about the way those charges, didn't they land on our doorstep, Joe, in some sort of coincidental fashion to do with the white paper thing, the independent regulator. Do you remember what I'm talking about?
Yeah, we got charged. The 115 came out coincidentally, and I still think it's not a coincidence that this happened for a reason. When you had Gary Neville going on Sky Sports saying they need an independent regulator, you know, to regulate the English football pyramid, to regulate the Premier League, because he didn't think that the system that they had in place was, you know, good enough and fair enough. So he wanted an independent regulator. And I've still stood by this. I think as a last-ditch effort to prove that they can run themselves, they can govern themselves, they charged the club that most people hate.
It would make sense. But look, like I say, people, we're not going to spend too long on this topic. We're going to keep it moving because it's going to unfold this week. We're going to learn a lot about that topic this week. And trust me, me and Joe and LB, whoever's doing shows, we'll be there. We'll be there to speak about it. Like, you know, people, I'm very passionate about this topic. I've tried to read as much about it as possible and learn as much as possible about it in such a short space of time. So we will be there. We will be there. Bigger professional Gyatbot says, need company for this late night? I got a Hughes iPhone for entertainment and a rubber Joe for later. Oh, a rubber Joe. That kind of rolls off the tongue nicely, doesn't it, Joe?
This fake company's never going to leave me alone.
Listen. Telling you, with all these super chats you're sending in and all these gifted members you send in, professional idiot, we're going to set up Rubber Joe. We're going to set up Rubber Joe's condoms. That's what we're going to set up. Yeah, that's going to be
setting up a fake. No, I'm not setting up a fake company, bro.
Cash into that bitch. We are going to funnel cash into that bitch. We are going to get all of our associated parties to put money into it. We're going to get LB to put money into it. He's an associated party. We're going to get Martin. We're going to get Big Steve. All our associated parties are going to put serious cash into Rubber Joe. We're going to break the goddamn rules. Right, let's get on to transfers. Oh shit, we've hit 9k. Hit the soundboard, Joe.
Yeah.
9k goddamn subscribers on the channel. We are 1,000 away from 10k. How amazing is that? What a community. Thank you all so much for getting us to 9,000 subscribers. We absolutely love this community. We love what we're building here. And thank you all for being a part of it. Make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you're locked in. Hit the like button. Become a channel member. All that good stuff. Big up, big up, big up to each and every single one of you. Right, let's talk about transfers. Let's start with the Phil Foden one because I think that is the best one. Like I said, people, I don't want to talk too much about the case until we get any more information about it. We've kind of done all the talking we can based on the current information we have. So let's do the Phil Foden news. What is it, Joe? I'm trying to find the official breaking news here, or the official news on City Extra's page. It's essentially saying City are trying to tie Foden down to a new contract that would take him up to the age of 30. It would make him the highest paid English player in Premier League history, I think is the record.
I've got it in front of me. It's from Sunsport, which again, you could judge how reliable it is, but all it says is Phil Foden is set to be the highest paid British player in history when he returns from Euro 2024 through a renewed Man City contract, with a pay hike putting him on par with Erling Haaland and Kevin De Bruyne. And then there's a follow-up one, which is a bit more recent. I think it was today, from like a web article saying that it would take him through his 30th birthday, which I find absolutely crazy.
This is some of the best business and warranted business City could do this summer. Will be to get your focal point, your main man for the future, tied down, put him on a wage that he deserves, show him the respect he deserves by making him one of our highest earners. the progression line of Phil Foden has been absolutely amazing. You know, I'm talking about like the patience he's had to show, the trust he's had to put in Pep, that would take him to where he is right now. And now he's bursting onto that world class level, and he's starting to get recognised and appreciated as a world class footballer. And as talk increases, people on a day-to-day basis now of post Pep, post life or post Pep life, what's life going to look like after Pep Guardiola? One of the certain constants we need to hold on to for after Pep Guardiola leaving is Phil Foden. The team has to be built around Phil Foden for as long as possible. Not only for the fact that he is the most gifted player in our squad. He, in my opinion, he's quite clearly the most gifted player in the squad, talented player in the squad. He's also going to be one of those players that will hold on to the years of success we have with Pep Guardiola and the experience he's going to bring with him. Even at the age of what? He's 24 now, I think, or he's not, or he might have just turned 24. Yeah, he just turned 24. He's already a senior member of the squad, purely because he's been around for so long. He's been part of this squad for so long, racked up so many medals, played with so many top players, gained so much experience. He's now a leader within the squad. And for me, Joe, it's the right time to honour the guy and say, right, we're going to put you up there with Haaland and De Bruyne. Because the fucker's worked so hard, been so patient and so understanding of the situation to get to the point he's at now. He's overcome every single hurdle with flying colours. He definitely deserves it. Definitely deserves it.
Well, you're looking at Premier League Player of the Season and various other individual awards from the season he's just had. He was our most important player of the season just gone. Like, he won us the Premier League. I know there was Rodri as well, who, when he wasn't in the side, we looked a little bit hopeless. But Phil Foden was the difference maker. I mean, his numbers are absolutely outrageous. For a guy who doesn't really take set pieces, he took a couple of free kicks, which he scored. He takes corners sometimes, but he doesn't even touch penalties. I find it outrageous that he's got the output that he got. And he's a fully deserved player of the season. And he's the guy where, when you're looking at post-Pep, he is the guy that you look to. I look at him more than anyone else and going, I'd build my team around him. Because your Haalands are great, but they are limited in terms of what they can do. Haaland needs service to be able to thrive. That's a given. So you can't really build around. You can sort of build around Haaland, but Foden is someone who you can properly put him in any sort of team and just surround him with players. Like, he can be a system. You can't system a Haaland. You can't directly put him in a system, if you get what I mean. With Foden, you can. He can be your main guy. He's versatile enough. He stays fit enough more often than not. And he's good enough now to warrant starting week in, week out in the big games. And the revelation of him actually starting in midfield as well, which is something that we've waited a long time for. At the start of the season, there was a lot of conversations, wasn't there, about where is he going to play, where's he going to start? Is, it going to be him in a front three? Is that the plan? Because I think a lot of us were kind of getting a little bit frustrated with the inconsistencies of where he was playing, because he was kind of playing here, there and everywhere. Sometimes he'd be in midfield, sometimes he'd be on the right, sometimes he'd be on the left. Couple of stints at left back, couple of stints as a false nine. It was pretty much all over the place. And now he's nailed down the position. And I believe, and I hope I'm right in saying this, that we've got to a point where he won't be taken out of the middle unless it is a needs must and we need him to fill out wide because we don't have any players. I believe we've got to that point now, because you're looking at that running at the end of the season. It didn't matter that Kevin De Bruyne was fit and playing. Foden was still in the middle. He was still in a central position playing next to Kevin De Bruyne. So I believe we're at that stage now. And again, to mention him again, Kevin De Bruyne, with the fact that he cannot play 2-3 times a week, 90 minutes, game in, game out anymore. He just can't do that. Phil Foden now becomes the main guy of the team. He is the main man now. It's not, he's kind of in and around. He's playing a few positions. You facilitate him with other players, or he facilitates with the players. No. He's the main guy of the team. He's the guy who can play 2-3 times a week, 90 minutes. He's a proper footballer. He loves football. He lives football. He would love nothing more than to train and practice, and he's a street footballer. Like, he just loves football. That's just the sort of player he is. So that's something that he's going to relish in. That's something he wants to do. And I mean, I hope to God that nothing happens during the international tournament, because I believe the last time that he went to an international tournament, he came back. The last Euros, the last summer tournament, he came back injured, and it really disrupted his season. To be honest, I hope England go out early. I know I'm English, but I hope they go out early and he can get some rest in the pre-season, because I want to go again next season.
See, what annoys me about when he goes off to England is, like, he's just not appreciated at England level the way he is at Manchester City level. And maybe it'll take, like, a few years of him playing really well for England for them to fully understand how good he is. But, like, even after the game England lost the other night to Iceland, the whole England team were shit against Iceland. And for some reason, people use me as their mechanism to complain about him, rival fans, that is. I was bombarded with DMs and messages and ats saying, oh, your boy Foden didn't turn up tonight for England. Your boy Foden this, your boy Foden that. Like, mate, fucking hell, like, wow. Just watch the guy play on a weekly basis. Look, there's two absolutely untouchable players in this Manchester City squad right now. The first two names on the team sheet, yeah? If we're playing a Champions League final tomorrow night, the two names on the team sheet which go down without question are Phil Foden and Rodri. So City must tie both of those players down to sufficient contracts. Like I said, we can talk about the Ederson contracts. We can talk about the future of Kevin De Bruyne. We can talk about what players we want to bring in this summer. I know the window opens in like 4 days' time. So there'll be plenty of time to talk about that. But in terms of who we keep and we build with for the future, Phil Foden and Rodri must be paid high bucks, really high bucks, because they are the superstars right now. Like, I know you talk about Erling Haaland and so on and so forth, but I'd be confident of Foden sticking around a lot longer than Haaland. I'm looking at Foden's wages here now. The only players he's on less than are De Bruyne, Haaland, Bernardo, Grealish, and Stones. Foden should be on more than Stones, Grealish, and Bernardo. He should be. Now, you can argue with De Bruyne and Haaland. Should he be on more than them? Should he be on similar to them? But he should be on more than Grealish, Stones, and Bernardo. So Foden's currently sitting on £225,000 per week. Haaland apparently sitting on 375,000 a week, and De Bruyne apparently sitting on 400 grand a week. I think Foden warrants being well up in the 350 to 375,000 pounds a week. I think he warrants it, Joe, and give him that long-term contract.
100%. It's just sensible to take him up till he's 30, because, again, he's a player that you should be building around, and he deserves the higher wages. Like, I don't think that that's necessarily the most important thing for him in terms of when it comes to contract, but he does deserve it. So it's an absolutely nailed-on thing. It should happen. 100% it should happen. If you have an opportunity to take your homegrown talent, your boyhood man, right, who's just won the Premier League Player of the Season, and tie him down from a contract, given that he's 24 now, and tie him down until he's 30, why would you not? Why? It doesn't make any sense not to. When the option's on the table and all parties are happy to do that, it doesn't make any sense not to do it. Well, I don't think there's very little room for anything to go properly wrong because of how we've managed him. Like you said, he's been patient. He's waited for this. He's had, in terms of the last 3 years, of course, he had his breakout season, I'd say, 3 years ago now. I'm trying to think of when the years line up, something like that. I mean, he spent most of last season towards the end of it on the bench. So he's, had a couple of rocky seasons early on in his development, but he's bounced back. He's gone from, being benched in the run-in last season and not really playing too much to player of the season. Like, that is superb mentality, and that's something that I want to build my team around. And it's only a matter of time before he joins the leadership group, because he's one of the most successful players we have in the squad. He's one of the most successful players in football history for his age. Like, his trophy cabinet already at 24 is absolutely ridiculous.
Ridiculous, mate. I mean, Starboy Saka in the chat says Foden on 375 is just ridiculous. It's not. It's not ridiculous when you see the numbers that your Sanchos and Rashfords and these kind of players are getting put on. I mean, I'm looking at Arsenal's wage bill here. Arsenal have Odegaard, Rice, Jesus, and Havertz all on more than Phil Foden. Okay, all of them. Now, look, you can argue to me about Rice and Odegaard and how important they are to Arsenal. They're not worth more money than Phil Foden, either of them, first of all. But you can argue it if you want. Jesus and Havertz both being on more than Phil Foden is absolutely ridiculous. If that's the wages you're giving to Jesus and Havertz, 280 grand a week for Havertz and 265 a week to Jesus, Foden definitely warrants 375. Definitely warrants 350. Definitely warrants 375. And this number is earned. This number isn't just given because he was a sexy name brought in from a foreign league, or, you know, like a superstar off the back of a great international tournament that there's loads of hype around. This is given to an academy graduate who's grinded, kept his nut down, worked hard, been patient, and fought for every single penny that he's going to earn. And this is, I'm talking about in comparison to other players, you know, the general wage market, what general players are on. Phil Foden, based off the season he's just had and the astronomical rise he's had over the past few years, he deserves a bigger contract. And it's a smart move by City to pay him what he's worth now and what he's going to be worth in the future. 375 in 5 years' time may seem like you know, not enough in terms of Phil Foden. And also, look, I don't fucking pay the wages, do I? I don't care what we pay him. Just make sure he's tied down, make sure he's getting what he's satisfied with, and get him playing some good fucking football. I'm not the bank. I don't support the bank. Yeah, exactly. You got people like Frankie de Jong claiming 700 grand a week. Do you know what I'm saying? You're mad. Phil Foden sitting there on 225. Bump the guy up, man. Bump the guy up. Let me have a look at some of these super chats and member chats before we continue. Big up AK. Big up AK. My guy AK. Become a channel member. About time you became a channel member, AK. I know you're a prestigious guy, and the membership club is for prestigious people. So you, of course, it's very fitting. Big up to you, AK, for becoming a channel member. Anybody else wants to join AK and become a channel member? There's a link in the chat now. All of you members in the chat, make sure you're spamming right now the 115 emoji Joe made. I want to see as many 115 emojis as possible. If you're a member, you get access to all these emojis in our Discord and all sorts of cool stuff. So become a channel member, but show us your emojis, people. Big up Punit for 4 months, man. 4 months, what a long time. Says just another month. Just another month being a champion of the world, Punit. We know you're a loyal guy, Punit. Thank you for 4 months. And big up Jerry McCune with the 4.99 says, just slip on a Joe when you're ready to go. Let's fucking go. Congrats on 9K. Like I said, Jerry, all super chats, all new memberships, all gifted, all the money we make off them will be going into us setting up Rubber Joe's condom company. Joe is founding a condom company, and all the money we earn here will be going into Joe's condom company. So thank you for your contributions, and you are now considered associated party as well. So don't tell the Premier League that we're breaking the APT rules, because Richard Masters will probably shed a few tears and so on and so forth. Thank you, Jeremy McCune. Look at that. Look at all the emojis in the chat, man. Look at all the emojis in the chat. Right, we're 15 likes off 100. Make sure you've all hit the like button. But yeah, look, for me, the Foden news, while the window's not open, it's the news that I want to see. I want to see similar news. I know we did see sort of similar news not long ago for Rodri, but I want to see Rodri getting bumped up too. Rodri's currently on
220.
Is he on 220?
220. He's 5 grand less than Foden, so he's even more underpaid than the rest of the 220. Because I think I'm on the same website as you, and I'm looking at some of the players who earn more than Rodri. Anthony Martial was on more than Rodri. Like, what are we doing here? This guy is overplayed and underpaid to the fucking extreme on both levels.
Well, listen. The overpaid thing is one side of it, and the overplayed is one side of it. And the overplayed thing is linked to the Bruno Guimaraes section of the show. But the underpaid, not overpaid, underpaid is absolutely true. Like, look, we're going to see Kevin De Bruyne leave the club in the next 12 months. Yeah, that's just the reality we're at. We're going to see Kevin De Bruyne leave. If it's not this summer, I don't think it will be this summer. It will certainly be next summer. Yeah, it will certainly be next summer. I don't think we're going to see him sign a new contract. And so on, even though the club are talking about making him sign a new contract, I don't think we will. And then Erling Haaland, he's an enigma. Haaland is an enigma. Yeah, Haaland is in just his own Erling Haaland category. You know, you pay him what he's worth for being the best striker in the world. Is he going to be in 4, 5, 6 years' time? You don't know. You just pay him what he's worth right now. But in terms of your long-term investments and tying players down who you believe you can retain, Foden and Rodri are the two that need to be held on to. I think that's fair, Joe. Everybody else is up for dispute, but Foden and Rodri absolutely need to be held on to.
Well, yeah, I mean, we're looking at the possibility of what's De Bruyne got? De Bruyne's contract expires in 2025, So he's got another year left. At least that's what it says on here. So we're looking at again, I think I said it before, the scary prospect of 2025 comes, Pep, Tiki, Ferran Soriano and Kevin De Bruyne all walk out the door at the same time, and a little bit of panic sets in for everybody going, oh shit, what do we do? So that Kevin De Bruyne being the highest paid player in the Premier League makes sense. Like, he's been the best player in the Premier League for a number of years now, but I think it's very unlikely that he signs a new deal. I think it's very likely that he does end up leaving, whether he goes to Saudi or America, because we own New York. I don't really know. I guess at that point, I wouldn't really care too much where he ends up if he's not going to play for us. Like, it's not really any of my business. The only way he would sign on, I feel, is if he was to take a significant, role reduction and pay reduction as well. There's not a chance he's on anywhere similar if he was to sign a new contract. No way. Because you cannot play him that often. He just doesn't have it in him to play that often. So even if he was to get on, how we do when players reach 30 and mid-30s and we go 1 year until, we've got out of them what we can and then we just let them go. If that was going to be the plan and we were going to do that, he'd be on significantly less than 400 grand a week. I don't think he'd be on peanuts. Well, I don't even think he'd be on 300. I really don't. I think that'd have to be something that he would have to accept if he wanted to do that. But will he want to accept that sort of reduced role and reduced wage packet when he's got Saudi paying out their eyeballs, or America? They do the same. They pay quite high, and he'd play most games over there, have a nice lifestyle in the States. It's something that I think would quite interest him at that stage in his career. Just having a nice sort of, especially if we go out on a high next season, if we win 5 in a row, what a time to bow out. Treble, 5 Premier Leagues in a row in the space of a couple of years, and he leaves on his own terms. Like, that is probably the ideal situation. You look at Gundogan when he left, no fuss. He captained a treble winning side and then went, right, I'm out. I'm going on holiday to Spain.
Well, that's. I saw that conversation on Twitter today. People saying it was low key the perfect time for Ilkay Gundogan to bow out. But this is where people have to subtract sentimentality from, what's best for the football club. Is it best for the football club to offer Kevin De Bruyne a new contract on his current wages? / more wages, because he's obviously getting offered massive wages from Saudi. He may say, look, I know you can't match Saudi, but if you can bump my own current wages up a little bit, I'll be open to staying. City need to do what's best for the football club. And for me, I think it's better for the football club to invest that time, money and energy into bumping up the wages of Rodri's and Foden's and locking them down long term than it is to focus on keeping Kevin De Bruyne happy. That's just me retracting my sentimentality and love for Kevin De Bruyne. If it was up to me, I'd say, look, give Kevin De Bruyne all the money in the world because how much he's done for the club. But that's just not the way football goes. It's not the way the business is run, is it? But look, it is what it is, man. Right, let's keep it stepping. Big up Punny with the super chat. He says, for Joe's company, Rubber Joe's is going to be the biggest condom company, biggest condom producer in the world, Punit. And your contribution, you are now an APT. I'm
expecting a phone call off Richard Masters in a minute telling me I'm doing illegal activities.
Yeah, Joe's a Joe and all his APTs. Big up Punit, man. Like I said, all the super chats, member chats, everything. It's all going towards Joe starting his brand new condom company, Rubber Joe's.
He'll let me away. Richard Masters will let me away with it if I go and try and sponsor United or Liverpool. So I'll just tell him that.
Is he Rubber Joe's sponsoring Manchester City now next season? That'd be crazy. Big up to you, Punit, man. Big up to you for the super chat. 9 likes off 100 people. Make sure you're hitting the like button. Right, we talked about Rodri being overplayed and underpaid. The news as of today regarding any help and assistance in that area for Rodri is not the most optimistic. Man City, according to Jordan Cronin, who is he seems to be a Newcastle journalist. He's a Newcastle United writer for the Newcastle World. He's a Geordie journo. He's a Geordie journo, as it says in his bio. He says Man City are unlikely to activate Bruno's £100 million release clause despite the midfielder featuring high on their transfer list. This is what annoys me sometimes about Manchester City, yeah? I know people will dispute it, but we're a very well-run football club, a self-sustaining football club, some of the best infrastructure in the sporting world, in the economic world, but we are not bullish in the transfer market. We are not brutal in the transfer market. And when I say brutal, I don't mean bad. I mean brutal in the sense that we throw a weight around. We get stuck in and we go, right, we want that player. Let's go and pay for that player. We're always looking for an avenue to get it for a reduced fee, which I get it. Look, that's business. Or we're always looking for an avenue to get, if there's a release clause, we'll pay the release clause, but not in this case. Obviously, we're being even more standoffish than usual. I wish City would go, look, it's a £100 million release clause, pay the £100 million, because he's absolutely worth it. Like I've said to you guys so many times, and I'll keep saying it until this window ends or we sign the guy. He is a must sign for Manchester City, Bruno Guimaraes. Yeah, I'm not that arsed about Kimmich. I heard the news about Kimmich today that Bayern are open to selling him if he doesn't sign a new extension for 25 million. It's cool, yeah, I'd take Kimmich, but my want is Bruno Guimaraes. I think he's absolutely needed, not wanted. He is needed, because there is no point. There's no point in us talking about giving Rodri lengthy extensions and, bumping him up the wages, the wage ladder and so on and so forth, if the guy's going to be shattered, burnt out, or injured all the time. If you think the level Rodri's been playing at for the last 2-3 years is sustainable for another 4, 5, 6, 7, you're absolutely off your rocker. Stop taking drugs. The guy needs complement, he needs backup, he needs support, and he needs better man management. And Bruno fits that. He ticks that. And that I see Atandile says, use Rico. Rico is a utility player right now. Rico's very much like Foden was a few years ago. He'll slot in where and when you need him. But in terms of what we actually need right now, we need a Premier League guaranteed, available, reliable backup / complementary defensive midfielder. And he falls under that umbrella, doesn't he? Of 8, 6, pivot, whatever. City must go and get this deal done as far as I'm concerned. I'm taking Bruno over Kimmich. I'm being honest. I know Kimmich is the more exciting name coming from Bayern Munich, all the history he's played with Pep and so on and so forth, played under Pep. City need Bruno. This is not good news as far as I'm concerned. I wanted to hear today, or if there was going to be news regarding Bruno, I wanted to hear City are going to trigger the release clause.
Well, there's a few layers to this one. I mean, for anyone seeing Rico Lewis, he's too lightweight to play as a lone holding midfielder. I know he did it at EDS level, but that's a completely different kettle of fish. He's playing against guys his own age who are also lightweight. He's not playing against these, experienced, grown men week in, week out. He's not. So I think Rico Lewis is a holding midfielder potentially, but he's just too lightweight for me to do it right now. I wouldn't necessarily trust him as a backup. That is not my number one. If you're sitting here and saying you're okay with the potential of, if we need to rest Rodri, or if he gets himself suspended, or if he gets injured, your backup plan is Rico Lewis, that doesn't fill me with the most confidence in terms of being a holding midfielder. I like Rico Lewis. I think he's an incredible player in terms of his technical attributes and his reading of the game. But as a defensive midfielder, he's just not for me. I think he suits being a little bit higher up the pitch. That's why we've seen him in this sort of inverted fullback role. We've even seen him play as sort of an 8 at times this season. He's better going, higher up the pitch for me. So I just think that that's not an option. And I don't think Bruno is worth 100 million. The player alone, the player alone's not worth 100 million. But we're paying for more than just a player. We're paying for being able to rest Rodri multiple times across the season and having him, not burnt out in the run-in at the end of the season. When you think of the season we just had, where he played every single game apart from where he got suspended pretty much, he looked absolutely on his ass when we played Real Madrid in the Champions League. He looked so off it. And that was with there was still like a month, 2 months left of the season at that point. Like, he looked physically out of it.
Yeah.
2 months at the end, 1 or 2 months with the season still left to play. Like, you're paying 100 million for probably what would be classed as, I'd say maybe a 60, 70 million pound player, but that extra 30, 40 is getting a Rodri that's not gassed by the end of the season, which is 100% worth having the best player in his position being able to see out a season. 100% worth it. That's why I would pay it. And not only that, is we've only got a certain amount of time to pay the money, because I can guarantee you now for a fact, ask this to any Newcastle fan, I know we've got one in the chat, the end of June, I believe, is when his release clause becomes inactive. They will ask for a hell of a lot more than 100 million if you want Bruno after his release clause is gone. I have no doubt about that in my mind. They will try and ask for more. So if you're not going to pay the release clause, you're risking just not getting him at all by the sheer fact of if you wait too long and the release clause goes, they may ask for more than 100 and you may have just missed out. And by that point, then you have to look at plan B, which annoys me because we've been through this a lot of times where we haven't paid for a player, but it's always kind of worked out. But I think we're at the stage now where we can't afford to mess this one up. So when there's an obvious option, I really want us to take it, because we can't afford to have a plan B or a plan C or even a plan D, have a Ruben Diaz situation. Because what if that doesn't work out? What if that doesn't work out and we're stuck with Calvin Phillips again? And we've, instead of paying up for what is going to be pretty much a guaranteed hit, we've taken a gamble and we've then subjected Rodri to another season of where he has to play every single game that we want to win.
We can't afford a Calvin Phillips 2.0. We just can't. There's no room for a Calvin Phillips 2.0. Jordy the Tune for Life is a Newcastle fan. Jay says Bruno will take the ball anywhere on the pitch, under pressure or not. He'll win you fouls just like Grealish. Bruno was the most foul player in the league and covered the most distance. Pep will love that. And then he says Bruno is worth 100 million in today's market. Joe, you obviously don't watch Bruno every game like I do. I don't think he is. I agree with Joe on this one. I don't think any player really is, unless you're talking about like the creme de la creme, your Vinny's, Haaland's, Mbappe's. I don't think anybody is in the 100 million pound category. I don't think Rice is. I don't think Grealish is. I don't think Caicedo is. I don't think any of these guys are 100 million pound footballers. I think the market is just so inflated that we're putting these price tags on players not worth it. But for me, you can justify it. You can justify the 100 million for Bruno because of what Joe said and what I've said before. You're paying 60, 70, 80 maybe for the footballer, and you're paying 20, 30, 40 maybe for the simple fact that he's going to genuinely help Rodri a lot. Help Rodri, help us get more longevity out of Rodri, help us get higher level of performance. If you like, we all praise Rodri here and talk about him like he's the best thing since sliced bread. And when he's playing and he's looking fresh and he's looking well, Rodri is the best thing since sliced bread. But his performances were dropping significantly towards the end of the season there. And that's not his fault. The guy's jaded. He's knackered. He's bollocksed. Rodri is physically and mentally drained. He said it himself as far back as the end of March, early April. He said, I'm tired. He came out publicly and said, I'm tired. Now, if he's coming out saying, I'm tired publicly, you best believe he's saying more than just, I'm tired, behind closed doors to the club staff, to Pep, whoever. But there's unfortunately, there's just no other option. He has to play. So if we can get ourselves a situation where we have a competent number 6 / pivot / whatever, like Bruno, who can come in and take 20 games a season off Rodri as a backup CDM, who can play another 15, 20 beside Rodri or as a number 6 or as a number 8 for the forward, whatever. We're cooking. We're in business. For me, that justifies the 100 million, because you're almost getting 2 players in one, aren't you? You're almost getting 2 players in the 100 million pound purchase. You're getting your Rodri backup as well as in addition to your midfield, in addition to your overall midfield, because Bruno can play really anywhere in the midfield. So I think you can justify the 100 million, but he's not a 100 million pound footballer. I know it sounds mental to give you these mental gymnastics, but that's kind of where I'm at with it. I think City must sign Bruno Guimaraes. Absolutely must. We missed out on Declan Rice last summer. It is what it is. I don't think we fully went balls to the wall to sign Declan Rice. Maybe if we did, would things have been differently? If we entered the race earlier to sign Declan Rice, would things have been differently? But I think if we got Declan Rice, I think it would be it'd be curtains, lads. The Premier League would be curtains. I think we'd just destroy everybody through midfield dominance and reinforcements. Bruno is the next one down on the list for me. Bruno is the next one down. Rice, Bruno, as far as what we're looking for in that role. So City must go and do it. And I do fear that if City don't trigger his release clause, we're going to end up in a situation like Joe outlined, where we've missed the window to pay 100 million for him, which is obviously more than what we believe he's actually worth. And then Newcastle go, right, you've missed your opportunity. We now want 120, because we saw Caicedo going for 115. We want 120 for Bruno. And then City obviously just go, nope, And then we've lost out. Now we're back into the pool of, right, we need to go and do our examinations on players, our due diligence, our everything, and try and hope that whoever we bring in is a bang. But if they're not a bang, it's a waste of 40, 50, whatever we've spent on the guy, first of all. And second of all, more importantly, Rodri's drained again. Rodri has to play 60-odd games a season again. Bro.
Put in a bid of 115, take the piss. Can you imagine? Imagine that might be the stage where he gets to if we don't pay this guy's release clause, because this is what I mean. I don't want us to take a chance on this. We could have taken a chance on a couple of different roles. We took a chance on someone like Sergio Gomez as a left back. It didn't work. You know, we took a chance on Ruben Diaz as a centre back. It worked. It was a very big risk, but it worked. But you don't always get them right. And even sometimes the ones that you think you are going to get right, you don't. We all looked at Calvin Phillips, went, he's perfect. Turns out, he's absolutely horrific for what we wanted. Like, we can't afford to take much of a risk here, because we've spent the last 2 seasons, doing this. We've spent the last 2 seasons without a backup. We can't do a third, a fourth, a fifth, because this guy will be finished by the time he's 30. He'll have played too much football. You want to prolong this guy's career. That's what you want. If you want to sign him to a new contract because he's so important, you want to prolong his career. And if prolonging his career means you have to spend a little bit more than you want on a player, then so be it. Because I don't think the market for anything right now, for any position, manager as well, is any good. I don't think there's a very good market right now. When you look at options in a holding midfield, we've spoken about Paulinho. He's off the buy-in, it seems. You know, he's finally getting his move. I know they wanted to do it, I think it was in January, where it fell apart the last time. They're getting that one done. Kimmich is a potential option. If he doesn't sign a contract, then you're looking at Bruno being the number one. And after that, you've kind of got, you know, people are floating around Douglas Luiz, but it's kind of like, is that really an option? Is that realistically an option? Do we really want him for one? How much are Villa going to want? And Villa are under pressure to sell because of PSR as well for 2, which I think they are. Like, it's and then after that, if you don't go for Bruno and you're looking at Douglas Luiz, who has interest from other clubs, which means we'll more than likely be in some sort of bidding war. If you don't end up with Douglas Luiz, then you're looking at paying 100 million anyway for that. What's his name? The guy that Bernardo Silva was on about, the Portuguese guy. I forgot his name. Neves. You're looking at like 100 million for him anyway. So you're paying for that anyway, and he's more of a risk than Bruno. So the market is simply not good enough to turn your nose up. I think personally, right, that this might be us putting it out there that we're not willing to pay it because we want to try and get the price down at first. I hope to God that that's the case of where we're trying to do what's good for business and saying, we're not going to pay this, and it maybe gets them to lower it, but it won't. That's the thing. I don't think it will, because they know that if they were to hold their stance for a few weeks, his release clause is gone, and then they can demand more. They can demand what they want.
Look, sometimes, yeah, you just have to put your pride aside and say, look, we need this fucking player. We need this player. So pay over the odds for him because we need this player. I get the whole business side of things, even though I don't really care for it. I get the whole business side of things of, try and get the best deal for yourself possible. But I swear to God, people, and I mean this sincerely, if we fuck up the Bruno deal and Arsenal slip under our noses and take Bruno, I will lose my shit. Yeah, I mean it. I will lose my shit if City fuck this Bruno deal and Arsenal swoop in and go and pay. I would be absolutely livid if that was to be the case. I think, look, this is, if you're talking about getting a winger or an attacking midfielder or another centre half, I say, okay, right, haggle all you want. Try and get the best deal for yourself. But this position on the pitch, unfortunately, because through our own bad business before with Calvin Phillips, it's a must hit. It's a must hit. So pay what they want. Pay what the release clause says. That's where I'm at, man. That's where I'm at. I really, really want Bruno. I think it's no outcome from this tribunal's release. It will be all kept up. Okay. So whenever I see anything about the case, I'm like, I want to know what's going on here. Big up David, though, for the update. I know Tiki will never do it. And this is one of the the gripes I've always had with Tiki, but I'll never complain about Tiki too much because he's done some absolutely unbelievable business for the club in terms of incomings, and he's spearheaded our transfer dealings since he arrived, obviously. But I wish we were just slightly more pay it because we need it. I don't want any more risks. I don't want to be doing, we're looking at this player in that league or some River Plate player or something, and we're all kind of going, let's look at his compilations, let's look at his stats, let's look at this, and let's see, be like, can he translate that to the Premier League? We've done that a million times before. And unfortunately, they work out more often than not. But you can't rely on that. Sometimes you just have to pay up and get the guaranteed hit. Bruno does not need any period of grace. Bruno does not need an adaptation period. Bruno does not need any time of, I'm going from Newcastle to Man City. No, because we're paying 100 million for you to not be like that. We're paying 100 million for you because we know you're a guaranteed hitter. We know you're a reinforcer or an enforcer, and we know you're reliable. Fucker doesn't get injured. Just pay the bucks, please. Please pay the bucks. I need Bruno, man. He's not even a player that excites me that much. Like Bruno doesn't make me go, oh, this is so exciting. You know, get the hairs in the back of your neck standing up. It's more just like it's just needed. Do you know what I'm saying? It's just needed. Haaland is and those kind of signings make you go, whoa, shit, this is earth-shaking stuff. This is exciting. With Bruno, it's like, look, this is smart. This is optimal. The
squad building.
Market.
It's squad building. We haven't had like two good options in holding midfield. Like what? Since Fernandinho, and even then his last season or two, his legs were just completely gone. So realistically, we haven't even had like two brilliant options, which we don't need. We just kind of need, go Rodri, who's your prized asset, and then you just kind of need a good option. Calvin Phillips was a nailed-on hitter. The reason why that one didn't actually work wasn't because he wasn't actually any good. It was because his professionalism and his lack of work ethic just killed him off. He just didn't work.
Let me cut you off, Joe. When you say the word professionalism, who do you think of?
Professionalism. Professional Giabot.
Professional idiot has professionalism, Joe. Professional idiot is just sheer professionalism. Professional idiot has just gifted 10 memberships to the chat. Yeah, he's the king of the members. I'm sorry, he's just the king of the members. He's the king. He's the most prestigious man in the prestigious community. Yeah, and he's just gifted 10 memberships to you lot. If any of you are fortunate enough to receive one off Professional Idiot, make sure you thank him profusely. He's looking after you lot. He's making sure you lot now have access to our Discord server, because you do. He's making sure you lot now have access to Joe's handcrafted emojis. Spam it in the chat 115, because you do. He's making sure that anything fun we do coming up soon, which we do have planned, you will be a part of. So big up the Professional Idiot, man. Absolute king. You know we love you, Professional Idiot. Professional Gap Bot, Professional Sex Bot, all his different personalities. We love them all equally. The king of the members. Apologize, Joe, but when you mention professionalism, the first man that comes to my mind is Professional Idiot.
Caught your eye, good timing. But that was the reason why Calvin Phillips didn't work. If he was asked about putting in the effort and caring and, doing things the right way, you never know, he might have worked out. But because he decided to do so many just mind-boggling things, the shoulder surgery so he could play at the World Cup, the coming back late for the mid-season sort of pre-season thing, not getting himself back early, hanging out in New York eating pizza instead. That's lack of professionalism. That's why that didn't work, because it was almost, or it felt like to me, it was almost like he thought, because the documentary as well that he made, almost like he thought he made it, and that was it. He made it. His football career was done. He made it, and he just wasn't willing to put the effort in, and that's kind of why everything didn't turn out. That's why that one didn't work. But the thing is with Bruno is if he applies himself right, which, there's no reason why he shouldn't, then that is a guaranteed hit. That is, it's guaranteed to work. So we need to do it, because I saw someone in the chat before saying our biggest problem was creativity. No, it wasn't. Our biggest problem last season was conceding ridiculous goals, conceding stupid goals week in, week out, and never being able to hold clean sheets. That was our biggest problem last season, and part of that comes down to the over-reliance on Rodri and him not being able to cover midfield properly because he's absolutely knackered, and him just being jaded, and him demanding publicly that he needs a rest.
You could also build a pretty formidable double pivot in Rodri and Bruno G. Do you know what I'm saying? Like Bruno G is 26, Rodri 27. They could work together for the next 8 years and be a formidable double pivot, or Bruno being a box to box 8, whatever way you want to call it. Like, it's just smart business. Especially in the chat then says, yeah, Bruno's absolutely needed because Rodri will get to that age like Kevin, won't be able to do it week in, week out. Of course, and the thing is, professionally, like one of the reasons that I'm so hell bent on Bruno G is because it won't even be an age thing for Rodri. It'll just be a physical thing. Rodri will get to the physical stage of not being able to do it week in, week out way quicker if we don't protect him. We're at a point now where we have to protect Rodri. And that's why I think Bruno G is the man. Declan Rice would have been great, but I think Bruno G is the man. And like I've said to people, and some of you ask me, why are you so hell-bent on Bruno? Why do you want Bruno so bad? And I get it. Some of you may want those more sexy signings, like Kimmich from Bayern or Wirtz and Musiala and these kind of things. And I get that. I want them just as much as you. I want those fun signings as much as you, those big, exciting ones. But sometimes you have to just go for the efficient ones, the optimal ones, as well as the exciting ones. But you have to get your... You know what I'm saying? Your basics in order, get your house in order before you start throwing in luxury couches and luxury, Ferraris and shit. Get your kitchen set up right, get all the utensils in order, nice and clean, get the table set before you start putting the fancy food on top of it. You know what I'm saying? That's where I'm at. Get the kitchen nice and clean, the table nice and set, knives and forks, tables, whatever, spoons, before you put your fucking Wagyu steak on top of it. And Bruno is our core. Bruno is what I believe will be a massive part of our core. 50 games last season he played with no injuries. I mean, like, look, if he wasn't linked with Man City, I'd be saying test the guy for steroids, because that's not normal, Joe.
Well, yeah, there's very few Iron Man type players who play out like every game and just don't get injured. But the only games he's missing is through yellow card suspension. That's it. And that is something that we're doing with Rodri right now. And it's like, I'm going to kill this guy off. If the only chance he gets of a rest is if he gets someone in a chokehold and gets a 3-game ban, he might have to employ that tactic more often next season because he needs it. Like, again, this is not a transfer that we can mess up. This is not a transfer where we can take a chance. We need to essentially play the logistics game and go, what has the highest chance of working out and being more useful? And it's Bruno. Bruno has the higher chance. He's younger than, I believe he's younger than Kimmich. Like, he's a lot more suited to what we need than Kimmich in terms of availability. The actual profile of the player, he's much more of a physical presence than Kimmich. And it's not even like a case of he can't go forward. I think he got like, I think it was 8 and 8 GNA in the league. And he was, in a Newcastle pivot? Like, that's pretty good for someone playing for Newcastle in a holding role or in a pivot role. Like, that's pretty good. I know Rodri's numbers were absolutely outrageous. He hit some at 25? Bruno's numbers might go up if he's playing with better players. Like, he's not completely useless. It's not like he can't pick out a pass or score a goal. He's something that I think that not a lot of people have thought about this as well, that there were games this season, Real Madrid at home, was a perfect example. I remember you saying it on the... I think we did a watch along for that game. Shooting from range. Testing the goalkeeper. Getting shots off at range. Because when teams park the bus, you're not always going to be able to pass it into the box and, tap it home. That's not always going to be a chance. So shooting from range. Bruno is not going to be afraid to pop long shots. Absolutely not.
He got 17 GNA in 50 games for Newcastle, which is very good. 47 of those games as a defensive midfielder, obviously in a pivot, and then 2 of them as a centre midfielder. 17 GNA for Newcastle, a team that was plagued with injury this season. It's really fucking good. It's really fucking good. So look, people, like I said, look, if City go and do a Vardiol on this, yeah, and we pull this deal off for significantly cheaper than we thought we were going to get. Remember, we thought we were getting Vardiol for 90, and we ended up getting it for 74 or something, which is unbelievable because they pulled it off. Amazing. If you can do that, bro, I'll sit here and I'll commend. I'll say, wow, well done. Great business. But if City fuck this up and someone else, i.e. Arsenal, snoop in, like I said, and take it, oh, man, I'll be definitely frustrated. Definitely frustrated. Because for me, that would feel like the tipping of the scale the tipping of the scale in Arsenal's favour for next season. Do you know what I'm saying? I genuinely would feel that, Joe, if Arsenal went and got Bruno and added him to their midfield, and we went and got a maybe player, but basically we're relying on Rodri.
Well, yeah, it'd be difficult to not feel that way because even though we won the league by 2 points above Arsenal, they took 4 points off us. We got a win and a draw. We didn't beat them in 3 games last season. Like, if they were to go and have a midfield 3 of Ødegaard, Rice, and Bruno, if they can all stay fit, that tips the scales. Of course it does. We're getting older, and we're not replacing what we lost. We didn't replace Gundogan and Mahrez properly. I like Doku. I think he's got a bright future, but it wasn't an ample Mahrez replacement. He didn't have the output consistently. Didn't have the output to match. We signed Kovacic and Nunes. Neither of those combined were going to put up anywhere close to Gundogan numbers because Kovacic isn't that sort of player, and Nunes just didn't get a look in. So we didn't replace properly what we lost the first time. So I don't want to, take a chance and let Arsenal go and strengthen, and then we're left scrambling for essentially at that point scraps because we've got to take a chance at that point. We don't get Bruno. You take a chance on being the lucky club that gets to land Douglas Luiz. You take a chance on the João Neves guy, who knows what's going to happen. We have a pretty decent track record of signing players who have been through the Benfica system, but you're not guaranteed a hit. Never guaranteed a hit.
True. It's true. Basically, people, we need Bruno. We need Bruno, in my opinion. Some of you may agree, some of you may disagree, and that's the beauty of these conversations. Right, let's move on to our last topic. Make sure you've all hit the like button. We're on 115 likes. We've just passed 9k tonight subscribers, which is sick. We're on the road to 10k now. 10k subscribers is crazy. When we get to 10k, bro, I don't know what I'll do. Probably go and buy a lot of Joe's condoms, Rubber Joe's. But yeah, keep hitting the like button, man, and subscribe if you're new. And there's a link in the chat if anybody else would like to join the channel memberships. Like Professional Idiot gifted 10 of them, and AK became a member as well tonight, and Punny hit 4 months. So yeah, link in the chat now if anybody wants to be a channel member. Right, last topic of conversation is Julian Alvarez is apparently happy at Manchester City. I missed this piece of news, Joe, so you may have to inform me on what's going on here.
Let me get it up. I did close my Twitter before, but he was speaking because he was asked about his future because, of course, there's been a lot of news about interest from PSG, Atletico Madrid, Bayern Munich as well. Like, there's been a lot of interest in him because he's playing as a backup role, but it's not like he's back up to any slouch. He's back up to the best number 9 in the world, the best goal scorer in the world. Like, of course, he's going to be unhappy with that, but sometimes he's got to firm that. Like, there's not much you can do when Haaland has had what most people would say is a little bit of an underwhelming season and walked away with the Golden Boot with pretty much been comfortable. Like, of course he's going to be a second choice to that, but I'm trying to find the quote now, and it was something along the lines of him saying it's normal shit that footballers normally say when asked this question, of saying, he's happy and, doesn't really want to be anywhere else. That's sort of standard issue for football to come out, but there was talk the other day of him potentially being allowed to leave on loan, which I find ridiculous. I found one here about the Atletico Madrid president saying Alvarez is a Man City player and I don't think he's going to move from there. So it seems to me, based on what's coming out the horse's mouth and from interested parties that have been willing to comment, that he said himself that he's happy, and the Atleti president has said that he doesn't think he will be going anywhere. I found the quote here via Sport Witness. These are things that are said, but I am calm. I am comfortable and happy at Man City. We will see what happens. Pretty standard response, given the circumstances, I think.
I never thought he was going to leave this summer anyway. I think there's more chance he leaves next summer when Pep's going as well. Like, people don't realize Alvarez made the most appearances for Manchester City this season. People have in their heads just because we have Erling Haaland that Alvarez just sits on the bench all week, every week. He made the most appearances for us. Now, granted, a lot of them were off the bench and a lot of them were out of position, but he still featured the most out of any player in the squad this season. So I don't see why he would have much issue regarding his game time. And he may say, look, Haaland does have a bit of an injury record. He usually gets one or two a season where he's out, so there'll be time there at striker for me. De Bruyne won't be able to play week in, week out, so there might be some time at midfield for me. We know City have expressed interest in a winger. If they don't get a winger, there could be time on the wing for me. So if he's kind of comfortable with being a versatile utility style player, there's going to be plenty of minutes for him. But if he's hell-bent on being an out-and-out number 9, which he will be eventually, that's when he may decide, look, I can't sit behind Erling Haaland and go. But at the age of what is he, 24 now?
Yeah,
Julian,
same age as Foden, 24.
Yeah, so he's 24. He's 25 in January. 25 is a pretty good age to go and find your club where you're number 1. We don't even know if Haaland will be with us. Haaland may decide next summer, if Pep decides he's going as well, to go, right, it's my time. I've done 3 seasons at City. I've won a treble, the back-to-back Premier Leagues, the 4th in a row for the club, potentially a 5th in a row, a 3rd for himself, maybe another Champions League. I don't know. He may decide it's time for him to go, and Alvarez could all of a sudden be the number 1, number 9. Do you know what I'm saying? So there's a lot of variables to this, but I don't think it's black and white as a lot of the media are making out. I don't think it's black and white as a lot of giddy Chelsea fans are making out. Now, look, I will tell you something. As I always tell you people, you don't have to take me as ITK. You don't have to take me as gospel. I am just some dickhead with a camera. But I have heard things about Alvarez and what he wants himself. And I have heard from my own sources, once again, I ain't ITK, I just tell you what I hear, that he is interested. He likes the idea of the Chelsea project. He likes the Enzo Maresca plan there. He's definitely going to start ahead of Nicholas Jackson, with all due respect to Nicholas Jackson if he goes there. He thinks Chelsea are building a decent team, whatever. I don't know what exactly he likes about them, but apparently he likes the Chelsea thing. I've seen a lot of Chelsea content creators and fans talking about it, being like, oh, go and save him from City where he gets no game time, completely ignoring the fact he gets loads of game time. But at the same time, he's got to think about what he already has. The grass ain't always greener. Life for him is pretty good at Man City. You know what I'm saying? He's just collecting medal after medal after medal.
But yeah, I think that's kind of the point that he was making, where he's going, like, I'm kind of happy because, I mean, I'm winning loads of trophies. They're padding out my trophy cabinet. And to anybody who says, again, like you said, that he doesn't play, he made the most appearances he was the most used player of a 4th in a row season. Like,
bro, 54 games, man. 54 games he played in the season. That's not bad for a player who sits on the bench, is it, Joe? And he plays left mid, right mid, attacking mid, false 9, striker, and right wing. So he played 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different positions, 54 games. Guy's doing okay.
It's just ridiculous to suggest that he doesn't get game time. He does get game time. A lot of it is frustrating, and a lot of the criticism comes because a lot of that game time doesn't suit him. I said it the other week. He's an excellent number 9. For us, he's a backup because of who we've got in front of him, but he's an excellent number 9 who can play in midfield and will give you output without giving you necessarily quality midfield performances, because that's not his game, but he will still give you output. That's what we've got. And if he accepts that, and he accepts that he will have more game time in and around the pitch, if he's willing to accept that, then fine. But I do think there is a level of thinking within him that appeals to him, where he looks at, you know, being where he wants to be. He wants to be in and around the penalty area. He wants to be in the box scoring goals on the end of chances. That's what he wants. That's what I believe he wants. So I think that it's kind of tempting to him to look at somewhere like Chelsea, or potentially somewhere like, well, not Bayern because they got Harry Kane, but when you look at somewhere like Chelsea, even Atletico Madrid, and go, I'd be starting up front number 9 week in, week out. That'd be my position. I'd be the main goal threat. I'd be the main goal scorer. So that may appeal to him. I mean, I've looked back a few days ago. This is the 7th of June from mine Blackburn. Julian Alvarez is believed to be keen on playing more regularly in his preferred position of central striker. That's what I mean. I think it appeals to him more if there's a club that's willing to give him a bump in pay and a reassurance that he'll play as a number 9, which is where he probably wants to play, then that might turn his head. But he also has to flip it and look at the situation of he gets more than enough game time realistically if we're looking at his actual numbers on paper numbers, and he gets so many trophies while he's here. He wins. He's part of a winning squad. He plays enough. He just has to accept that he's not going to play the same position. I mean, everybody has to accept that. Unless you are the best of the best or one of the best in your position, you cannot accept being a one-position player in a Pep Guardiola team. Foden plays, 4 or 5. Bernardo Silva plays, 3 or 4. You look at someone like Akanji plays all across the back 4. Like, players in Pep Guardiola teams cannot be one-position players unless they are the best of the best. You look at Rodri, he's a 6 because he's the best of what he does. De Bruyne, playing in the number 10, the most advanced midfield position, because he's been the best of what he does for a number of years. Haaland, best goal scorer out there, so he's allowed to have that, ability to only play as a number 9. With Alvarez, he's not one of the best number 9s. He's a good number 9, but he's not one of the best. So he has to accept that he's going to play in a few different positions. I don't think the wing suits him. I really don't. I think it suits him less than playing in the number 10. But I can almost stomach him playing sort of behind Haaland in a 10 in certain games. Maybe even, I've seen it at times off the bench when we need a goal. That's a good option to have, bring on another goal scorer. Like, he can do the number 10. He just won't give you midfield type performances. If you're looking at maybe, say, the bigger games where you want a little bit more control and composure in the midfield, Alvarez is not for you. But if you look at maybe some of the lower down and mid-table teams, it can do that, no problem.
It's kind of what you sign up for when you join Manchester City, that you're not going to have a set position. You know what I'm saying? You've gone through the list of players there that can play, that do play set positions. Most of them I wouldn't want to see in another position. I definitely wouldn't want to see Erling Haaland anywhere that's not number 9. He's not capable. Look, I'm not Alvarez's biggest fan, people. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not his biggest fan. I like him. I think he's got a lot of room to improve. He's got a lot of things to improve on. His first touch, his positional awareness, his composure. I think his finishing is erratic at times, but I do like him, and I don't think there's a backup striker in world football I would want more than Julian Alvarez. So look, we'll have to see. We'll have to see. I mean, Professor Idiot says, plus he still needs to win the mighty, ultra-important energy drink cup. Exactly. Listen, you can shove your World Cup, your treble and all that, but have you ever won a Carabao? Didn't think so, mate. Yeah, so stick around and try and win a Carabao for us next season. I want that trophy back. Look, we'll have to see. We'll have to see with Alvarez what the plan is. Marshall says, I can see Alvarez being a bit of a dud, not going to lie. He hasn't wowed me in any position I've seen him play in, to be honest. I get that. When people express those kind of opinions with Alvarez, I understand it. I'm not one of these blind happy clappers who's like, anybody who plays for Manchester City can't have their game criticised or can't have their overall play talked about in any other connotation other than they're amazing. Because there's players in our squad who can improve on aspects of their game. And if Alvarez is going to be a utility player, and I don't mean utility in a disrespectful way, I mean like he's available to play a number of positions. There's a good few areas of his game he has to work on, and that's just the reality. That's genuinely just the reality of Julian Alvarez. So look, we'll see what comes of Julian Alvarez. A few things to mention. I don't think I've even told Joe this, but I'm going to tell him now. I don't know if he'll like the idea of it, but the transfer window opens in 4 days' time. It'll be 3 days' time in 10 minutes, but 4 days' time. And I plan on doing daily video uploads, 8 to 10 minute roundup videos. If you like the idea of that, people, let us know. Hit the like button, make sure you're subscribed, turn on the notification bell. But we'll also continue the late night chats and the half threes depending on our availability. We'll still stream the way we always do, but I plan on hopefully doing daily videos, 8 to 10 minute videos, just telling you what's going on and sharing my opinion.
More late night stuff, though. More late night stuff. More late night stuff with the Euros around the corner, because they're going to be like midday games.
Yeah. I would imagine most of our streams will be as they are now, the late night chat, this kind of stream time, because the Euros. I want to watch the Euros, and I've also got stuff to do during the day. So late night chat will continue as normal throughout the summer. 4 or 5 times a week, hopefully. And like I said, I'll do daily uploads on the transfer situation. Big up to Professional Idiot for the gifted. Big up to AK for becoming a member. Big up to Puneet for the membership and the 4 months, or for the super chat and the 4 months. And big up to Professional Idiot for the super chat as well. What day is tomorrow? Tuesday. If anything happens, we'll be live again tomorrow night, or we'll figure it out. Turn on the notification bell so you don't miss when we're live next. We'll have a panel show again on Thursday. I think you guys enjoyed the one last Thursday with Bevo, Briggsy, Luke, and Tone. So we'll have that back on Thursday, the weekly show. So loads to look forward to. Loads to look forward to. Thank you all for 9K. All of you who are subscribed, who hit the like button, who are channel members. There's a link in the chat if anybody wants to become one now. Big up to all of you for your support. We know what I mean. We only went full time on this like 3 months ago, and now we're on 9K. The next goal is 10K. 10K is crazy to me. If you told me and Joe when we first started this channel that we'd get to 10K, I'd be like, bro, you're on drugs, mate. People like us, we don't get 10K subscribers. But here we are. We're getting there. We're getting there. So big up to all of you. Hope you enjoyed the stream. If you're watching on playback, hit the like button. Leave your thoughts down below in the comments, and we'll see you very soon. Good night and God bless. Wrap her up, Joy Boy.
Listen to your heart, tell me who you wanna be. We can always start to believe. Listen to your heart, tell me that you understand, 'cause you are the